So a lot of guys, even when I train right now, they come to my gym and I make them spend time, repetitious time like I did, on technique. They don't like it. They just want to beat bags, beat hand mitts, spar. Well, how can you do all this if you don't know the real technique that it takes to do it? So that's what's happening. We're missing all that because as soon as you come to the gym, first thing you want to do is hit something. In our day, it wasn't like that. You knew what kind of fighter you were. You knew how to jab. You knew how to throw a right hand. You knew how to throw every punch. You knew how to counter every punch. You knew how to defend every punch. You knew boxing from here. Probably in your top 10, maybe even your top 5.
Where do you rank Terence, in your opinion?
I put him in the top 15, maybe the top 10, because he definitely has the skill of a top 5. Just that he hasn't had the opposition that some guys were able to get, and that's not his fault. He just made one of the best fighters in his weight class look like nobody. That's pretty damn good. Now he proved what we already thought. We just didn't see him against the best opposition near his weight class. See, this is the thing people don't understand. This is what I like about Bud. He reminds me of Roy. We ain't got to have the best opposition in our weight.
Today I get some rounds with the GOAT. One of the GOATs. You know what I mean? 2 GOATs. Iron sharpening iron.
With the training he just had with Roy Jones, it's clear Terence Crawford has decided to move with the GOATs ahead of his fight with Canelo. Alvarez, my biggest boxing secret is I always learn, and here's me learning from one of the GOATs, Terence. Crawford said before they started training, and if there was one main advice Roy Jones had to give Crawford, it was regarding his weight, emphasizing that he builds up as much weight as possible, having met with Andre Ward and Floyd Mayweather lately.
How do you think Terence Crawford should handle the weight? Should he come in lighter? Should he come right around the weight limit?
Come in as big as he can get. If you get to the weight limit, because there is a weight limit, get to the weight.
Roy Jones is the boxing GOAT Crawford has involved in his training camp as he prepares for the biggest fight of his career, the essence of involving. Roy Jones in his training camp isn't just to train but to get words of advice from the former heavyweight champion. Roy Jones has a similar story of moving across multiple weight classes like Terence Crawford. He won a world championship at the 168-pound super middleweight division where Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez are fighting alongside. He also won championships at the middleweight, light heavyweight, and heavyweight divisions. Anyone that can cruise across these weight divisions successfully is someone Terence Crawford needs to learn from as he's making a 14 pounds jump from.
We want the best opposition near our weight class.
There's been discussion that maybe Crawford and Inoue are going back and forth tussling for pound for pound. That maybe Inoue because of the multiple weight divisions. You're shaking your head no. Tell me why no.
Because Inoue also, when he first moved up, he lost to Donnell. Don't forget that. Bud ain't lost nobody. Moving up or down, he moved up 3 times.
The super welterweight division to the super middleweight division. Aside from the advice Crawford got from Roy Jones Jr., they both sparred for some good number of rounds. They also had some runs together, ran on the treadmill, did some swimming, and spent time doing some conditioning and strength exercises. Roy Jones' strength was impressive to both Terence Crawford and the other guys in the gym, despite not getting into the ring since an exhibition fight he had 5 years ago against Mike Tyson. And after training with Terence Crawford, he was full of praises for Bud Crawford. However, Roy Jones keeps expressing his genuine concerns for Crawford's weight. Roy Jones, being one of the most dominant boxers of his era, remains invested in
Bud, Canelo, done deal. Looks like the fight is signed. What's your thoughts on this fight, man?
Man, it's a great fight for boxing. I know people don't agree with it, but if Canelo fights one inkling of the wrong fight, he's gonna lose. If he comes out and fights the right fight, it's gonna be a tough one. So right now, I think it go be either way, but it depends on what type of fight Canelo fights.
The careers of the new generation of boxing stars, among them Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez, stand out as 2 of today's best pound-for-pound fighters. The idea of a matchup between the two has captured the imagination of boxing fans worldwide. However, the weight disparity between the two poses a significant challenge for the Pima American fighter. Before training with Crawford, in an interview with Mill City Boxing Jones, JR shared his perspective on this hypothetical clash while praising Crawford's talent and skills. The legendary boxer leaned toward Canelo as the favorite. I like Terence, but I'm going to lean towards Canelo with his size early, but if he lets Terence get into the fight, Terence is going to be a problem if Terence can deal.
Because that's why I beat James Jones. James Jones was one of the best fighters of all time. One of the best defensive fighters of all time.
James, that was...
But he ain't moving his feet. So because I got the full feet part of me, when he come at me, I'm moving my feet. I'm changing my whole location. When I come at him, he doing this. My hands too fast. I'm gonna find that.
Yeah.
You only gonna do that 1 or 2 times. I'm gonna find that. Cause my hands too quick. So people get the wrong misconception that defense is this. No.
You can fix that wherever your back foot is, that's your defense. So your rhythm.
With the size, he will beat him. Jones Jr. emphasized the importance of Canelo's punching power as a decisive factor in the fight. That's what I'm saying. We don't know until we see Terence get hit, because we haven't seen him get hit with that power. Jones Jr. said, that's the deciding factor. If you can change Bud's fight plan, you've got a chance of beating him, but if you can't hurt him, you can't change his fight plan and you've got problems. This analysis underscores Crawford's need to neutralize Canelo's renowned power if Crawford can impose his technical boxing skills and avoid Canelo's devastating punches. He could stand a chance of pulling off a historic upset, while the potential
that's realistic, it makes sense, and less life risking on top of the risk that we risk stepping in there with guys our weight. And now you want me to do something. Canelo's not coming down to 60.
No. It's Crawford who wants it. He wants the chance to prove it. He's the best.
I get it. I get it.
Yeah, yeah.
I get it.
Right.
And and again, that's one of what's happening on a show.
Between Canelo and Crawford remains a dream scenario for fans. Canelo Alvarez is currently focused on preparing for his next bout. International Boxing Federation interim champion William Skull has been mentioned as a possible opponent. This wasn't always the case for Roy Jones Jr., though the Hall of Fame fighter and current promoter, trainer, and respected analyst Roy Jones Jr. had earlier shared scenarios in which he sees both Terence Crawford and David Benvitz beating Alvarez before. Going against his former prediction, he began with David Benvitz, saying, "It's a tough fight to call because Benvitz throws a lot of punches. Sometimes power can intervene and make that a different situation," Jones said in an interview with Boxing.
Yeah, because a lot of people are saying, like, hey, you know, forget about Canelo. That was a tough fight with Madrimov. Go ahead and give Boots a shot. Give Boots the chance. But Eddie's saying, hey, you know, I think Crawford's saying, hey, give me the Canelo fight, or I'm not fighting. I'm done.
Why? What does he got to prove to Boots? Boots trying to take over and start beating the guys around him, prove that he's the best of that group. Bud is in a group above him. Bud don't need to come back down to 47 to meet him. That's crazy.
The problem is Canelo willing to take the risk? I don't really think he will right now, because I don't think he feels like he has a reason to if he can't hurt Benvitz early in the first 3 or 4 rounds. I don't see him winning that fight. The two-time 168 lb tight-liced Benvitz has been pounding the table for a crack at Alvarez over the last 2 years. Formerly recognized as the best welterweight in the world, Crawford is open to moving up 2 weight classes for the chance at clashing with the Mexican star. Alvarez, meanwhile, maintains that a win against Crawford would do little for his legacy, even though many are giving Crawford a real chance to score the win. If anybody can do it and pull it off, it's Crawford.
Yeah, because a lot of people are saying, like, hey, you know, forget about Canelo. That was a tough fight with Madrimov. Go ahead and give Boots a shot. Give Boots the chance. But Eddie's saying, hey, you know, I think Crawford's saying, hey, give me the Canelo fight, or I'm not fighting. I'm done.
Why? What does he got to prove to Boots? Boots trying to take over and start beating the guys around him, prove that he's the best of that group. Bud is in a group above him. Bud don't need to come back down to 47 to meet him. That's crazy. Why would he?
So you can't tell him no, said Jones. I was the kind of guy that if someone said they were better than me, and if I can get close to your weight here, I gave John Ruiz 33 pounds when I won the heavyweight title in 2003. I didn't care. I wanted to prove that I was pound for pound the best and to do something historic that had never been done. That's probably how Bud feels right now. He wants to do something historic to solidify his legacy in boxing. Who doesn't want to see the pound for pound?
Bud, Canelo, you know, done deal. Looks like the fight is signed. What's your thoughts on this fight, man?
Man, it's a great fight for boxing. I know people don't agree with it, but if Canelo fights one inkling of the wrong fight, he's gonna lose. If he comes out and fights the right fight, it's gonna be a tough one. So right now, I think it can go either way, but it depends on what type of fight Canelo fights.
You've been a guy that's up in weight class. How do you think Terence Crawford should handle the weight? Should he come in lighter? Should he come right around the weight limit?
Come in as big as he can get. If you get to the weight limit, because there is a weight limit, get to the weight.
Best from yesterday fight the pound for pound best from today. Who wouldn't want to see that fight? It's a mega fight if he puts the muscle and weight on. How can you doubt him? One thing that's for sure is that he's going to go out there and fight, and not just collect a paycheck. He's going to go out there and try to win the fight, because that's who Bud is. If he carries the weight, it'll be a good fight. He can box just like Floyd Mayweather, and he can also fight. He hits and doesn't get hit. If he can take the punch at that weight, he'll probably win the fight.